on this computer. Okay, we are recording. Okay, Lux Fiat continued. I want to take a few minutes and just review where we were last week with Lux Fiat. I'm going to do a screen share.
Hi, Susan Mary.
Hi, how are you?
I'm so well. How are you doing, my dear?
Wonderful.
Oh, good.
So curious, did you put the Zoom app on your phone?
Yes.
There you go. That is the answer then, Joseph and Michael.
Did you have the Zoom app on your phone last week when you tried to get in?
Yes. I think I've had the Zoom app for a little while, but I think the first time I tried it, I just wasn't sure how to get the proper number to hook in with you. But now I know.
Okay, so that might be the answer we're looking for.
Okay.
I'm sharing the screen right now. Lux Fiat, we were talking about light, the science of light. And I was showing two examples of the profound impact of working with the light and being totally filled and infused with the light. And this image is a photograph that was taken around 1985. Mother was giving dictation by Archangel Michael, and Mother was so filled with light that she became transparent. And if you look around the level of her hips and her upper legs there, you'll see the marble altar. You can see it right through Mother. She had become totally transparent. And if you look at the level of Mother's shoulders, where the picture frame is, you can actually see the picture frame right through her. Mother has become completely transparent. And this was way before imaging software like Photoshop existed. This is authentic, original photograph, and it's a profound example of the light. Now, when I go into the 4 pillars and we talk about the science of the light, there is a visualization exercise in book 4, Intermediate Studies of the Aura, and especially in the older books, the color plates are much more visually stunning. This image is called the Coil of Light Visualization Exercise, and the instruction from Dwell Cool is to begin practicing this exercise. And this coil of light begins directly in front of oneself at the 12 o'clock position, if you were standing on the dial of a clock. And the coil has 33 spirals in it, and it's clockwise. And one of the comments in the notes about this image is that when you do this visualization exercise, know that many ascended beings are doing it with you. It's very, very important. You are engaging your consciousness with the consciousness of the ascended masters. And when you begin to visualize this coil of light, you actually begin to create the coil of light. And the photograph beside that, Light Spiral of Alice Bosco, was taken in front of a church. If I recall, it was in Minneapolis. And you see there are 3 people standing here, but there's a 4th person, and that's Alice, and she's standing in the middle of this coil of light. And you can see the individual spirals, and this is the 33 coils of light. Mm-hmm. And you can see that Alice Bosco has been working with the light and producing this actual coil of light. This was 6 years prior to her ascension. And when we talk about the requirement to build the deathless solar body as the vehicle that we will have for our ascension, I'm going to suggest that this coil of light is something similar to the skeleton or the structural framework of that deathless solar body. And so that's where we left off last week. Susan Mary, I know you were really excited when you saw that.
That sure was.
It really strengthens the credibility of the various exercises when the masters say it is important to visualize the light. And we get that in the 3-step meditation. We get that in Kathumi's notes on the color rays. The exercises for the creation of the cloud involve intense visualization of the light. And the students at Shambhala Temple who have been practicing with this have come to discover that there are very noticeable effects. And often we don't feel those effects when we're doing the exercises, but we need to persist. And over time, the effects will find a way to demonstrate their effectiveness, and we'll actually see the results visually, and quite apparent that the light is there, and it's very, very powerful. Then in today's class, lesson 2 details. I'll share this with you. The 4 pillars revelation. This is the proper method devised by the masters for the new students to assimilate the teachings in the proper order so that progress is made in the most efficient manner. We have the beginning, which is studies of the aura. It's the first pillar, it's the natural starting point. Eventually, you will want to own a copy of the book because you will read it more than once in the coming years. And for now, we provide the PDF so that your initial lessons are basically free. We have also created the higherconsciousness.ca website, and we put all of those chapters directly accessible online. So you don't even have to buy the book, you can just read it online. Then we have the beginner's class broadcast, where we're teaching the basic decrees, and we have discourses on cosmic law by Mark Prophet with a new lecture every week. And then we have our tutorial videos on YouTube, so you can connect with us online. That was the outline for the subject matter that I wanted to share that I created about 1.5 years ago, just as starting point for what to discuss. So we'll look at the 4 pillars. This extract is quoted verbatim from page 4 of the booklet, Sacred Ritual for the Creation of the Cloud. And what it says is, if you are new to the teachings of the Son of Masters, or you are teaching students who are new, begin with beloved Kathumi's book on the human aura, and then Alchemy 1, and then proceed with Alchemy 2, and then go to Aura 2. These 4 pillars, these 4 books are pillars, foundations of the fourfold path of the Rose Cross that is later to be read in the Pearls of Wisdom from Sant Kumara. If you're going to teach these books, you must exercise daily with their formulas. It is most necessary to have this exercise so that when you present the teaching, you are the example, the living teaching itself. And so I came upon this instruction probably 30 years ago, and I took it upon myself to follow precisely the direction. And I read through the 4 pillars, and I've done the exercises many times. And hopefully I am, to some small degree, living the teaching and being the example of the teaching. These books are available in pocketbook size. If you get the human aura, you'll have the 1st and the 4th pillar, both in that book. And if you get Saint Germain on alchemy, you will have the 2nd and 3rd pillar in that book. And having both of the books, thanks, Deb. Having both of those books gives you the 4 pillars. We have also put them on the Higher Consciousness website. I'll go there for just a second and share that with you. Resources. visit the sites, click on the resources. And there it is, human aura and alchemy. And share the screen. And there you see the 4 pillars. We're working on speeding up the website. We found one of the problems here, the pages don't load as quickly as we'd like them to. But there's book 1, Studies of the Human Aura. Book 2, Studies in Alchemy. Book 3, Intermediate Studies in Alchemy. Book 4, Intermediate Study of the Aura. You can either click on the image or the menu across the top and get direct access to the text, and click on each individual chapter to read them online, or click on the audio and listen to Laura Hamilton reading them. So the 4 pillars are available there. The secret keys is probably one of the most profound pieces of information to have about not just the 4 pillars, but any dictation from the Ascended Masters that you will read or listen to. And so we put that link at the top and we called it Secret Keys. Hopefully it would intrigue people, and by their curiosity, they would want to click on that right away. It's to your benefit that you begin to understand the Pleiadic keys, and then the Pearl Call, which unlocks 90% of what is available in that teaching. And it's different for everybody. The Pleiadic keys unlock differently for each individual because they're specifically designed for each individual. And most of what's in those Pleiadic keys is not accessible until you give the Pearl Call. So that's the 4 pillars. Now, Studies of the Aura. Oh, that's just the PDF. That's the whole, you don't need that. Muddied Aura's picture book. This is the images that come in the Intermediate Studies of the Aura. And so I have one of the older versions, so that it has nice glossy pages, and I removed the spine of the book so I could separate each individual page, and then I scanned them to get high resolution images. And I then put them into a PDF, which I can share with you. This is the images of the aura that were drawn on the blackboard, I believe by Saint Germain. It might have been Kuthumi. And there is some text accompanying the images that explains what you're looking at. And this is just an average aura of an average person that you would encounter in life. And the explanation here is this is an example of the completely uncontrolled release of energy in the thought and feeling world. So you see up here, there's actually, if I pull that up, there's a snake there. See the snake there with his tongue stuck out? This is the energy in this person's mind at the time. Uncontrolled release of energy in the thought and feeling world. This energy is not being spent in the perversion of sex. It is rather being raised and allowed to go through the third eye and the crown imperfectly. So each of these images is worthy of your study, and the accompanying text explains the release of energy into the aura, what it looks like, why it's there, and how it affects you. Muddied aura number 2, misqualification, filling the aura with brown. The sinking feeling you get in the belly when you contact human creation sinks all the energy down, down, down. Direct action of psychic consciousness coming out as a psychic hook. A lot of people walk around in that condition. Muddied aura 3, centering of the misuse of the sacred fire in the crown and the third eye. Look at all the activity up in the head chakras.
No.
Someone who is mentally polarized, yet whose mind is not filled with the Christ consciousness. They can be steeped in any kind of philosophy or carnal or intellectual accomplishment and yet not have the corona, the crown of Christ. So all very unpleasant colors there. Muddied aura 4, typical aura of the mass consciousness. The collective unconscious mankind who move as one, the sea of humanity who are not enlightened. Their auras will be filled with brown and green of the muck, just like the muck you see at the bottom of the river. They move in the astral plane. And Joseph, you were asking about the astral plane, and this is a classic example of the aura of somebody whose consciousness is mired in the muck of the astral plane. The lines of red and orange show that these people are a powder keg. They are ready to become angry at the moment that their egos are offended. Put them in contact with someone who is separated out from the mass consciousness, and they're likely to explode because they cannot bear the contact with light. This might actually remind you of what happened at the picnic. Some of us were in contact with an individual who became very negative after receiving so much light from the cloud and the dictation, and they're not with us anymore. Classic example. Muddied aura number 5. Another action of the mass consciousness. Person has considerable amount of faith. Notice the blue halo around the head. So there you see the blue. That's indication of faith. You notice the heart is the sympathetic heart. The energy of the heart, instead of coming out in a direct line, are tending to fall because this person has not discerned the difference between compassion and sympathy. So the energy of the heart, and it's falling downward. This person is always in sympathy with someone who is the underdog, and the sympathy goes to the solar plexus. Okay, so I do have my notes here. These were drawn by Saint Germain. Now, these aura pictures, I think, should also be studied with the images that were given in the lecture, The Science of Rhythm for the Mastery of the Sacred Energies of Life, which is Saint Germain's lecture on music. We'll get to that a bit later. Muddied aura number 6. Notice the coils coming out of the throat chakra.
Mm-hmm.
Greater misuse of the sacred fire through the power of the spoken word. It is mortal cursing. It is malice. It is being complete out of control in the throat chakra, sending forth arrows and barbs and psychic wedges. The red denotes passion, the black denotes the total misuse of the word of God. This person is in a state of anger. Lots of people walk around like that. Look at the red flash of the lightning bolt down in the lower area. Muddied aura 7, it gets worse. See the little demons, bat-winged entities, demon with a pitchfork and a tail up in the upper part of the aura. The red arrows coming down out of the solar plexus and down the bottom. Let's blow that up a bit.
Wow.
You see a serpent and you see something that looks like a lizard.
Yeah.
Down at the feet. And they are inhabiting the aura. Those are demonic entities that are wedged into, they're embedded in the aura. This figure shows the aura of a black magician misusing the energies of the third eye and the solar plexus. You can see the demon forms, the demons of the mind that this individual is projecting. Very interesting image. Very real stuff. Muddied aura 8. This drawing shows the total mechanization concept, an individual totally dominated by the mass mind. This is not unusual to see in the auras of people. You see that the Kundalini is nothing but an orange coil rising from the base of the spine. So there it is, orange coil coming out of the spine, not the kind of color you want. All energy is misused in all of the chakras, putting out a net of materialism and mechanization. The throat chakra misused, all the chakras overdeveloped with the perversions of the 7 rays. It's not pretty. There is the perfected aura. Egg-shaped and all white. And you see the proper colors of the chakras because they are emitting the light frequency that they are designed to project and radiate to the world. This is the Chela standing in the ovoid, shows the action of the sacred fire invoked as a replica of the cosmic egg, sealing the pure energies flowing through the purified chakras. And the instruction here, visualize your aura. There's that word visualize again. And I'll give you a little secret. Most people have never imagined this. One of the functions of the third eye is to project what is held as an image in the mind. Most people think about the third eye as an organ of perception that you clairvoyantly see into other dimensions with it. That is probably the least of its functions. The third eye, when properly utilized, will act as an organ of projection, and it will project out into the world the blessings that are designed by the images that you hold in your mind. And so the masters talk about meditating on thought forms, and we teach very advanced thought forms that eventually the masters and farther down the Elohim Encyclopedia will project through you as a benefit to all of life. So here we're beginning the exercise by visualizing your aura as an ovoid of white light. Just what we talked about last week, visualizing white light extending beneath your feet, beneath the coil, above your head, above the coil. See the aura increasing in the intensity of the light as that energy is expanded from the heart chakra and thence from all the chakras as the sacred mist that is called the fire breath of God. Interesting terminology. The sacred mist sounds very much like the creation of the cloud. The fire breath of God. Let its purity, wholeness, and love fill the ovoid of your aura and fill your mind and heart, disciplining that energy and holding it in the creative tension of your cosmic awareness. And most of you will recognize the fire breath of God. It's the actual decree that we work with. You might want to spend some time working more with the fire breath. I can tell you a very interesting story just popped into my mind. I was doing the fire breath as a meditation back in 1987. And I was not ready for what happened. I had no idea that such a thing was possible. I was about 5 minutes into giving the fire breath when suddenly my consciousness rose out of my body. It went up the crystal cord and it went right to my I am presence. And for about 5 seconds, I had spherical vision. I could see in front, behind, above, below, right, left. I could see all directions at once from that point in consciousness. And I was astounded. And what I saw was my I am presence, the way we see the chart of the presence. I saw my causal body surrounding me. I saw everything that we show in the chart of the presence. And it lasted about 5 seconds. And then my consciousness was back in my body. And I was there sitting in my room doing the fire breath. But it was a very extraordinary experience. This caduceus action is the action that will take place when we have the stream of light flowing from the heart of the I am presence, and it will come straight down to the heart chakra, and it will flow in a figure 8 pattern through the chakra while there is a directional flow coming straight down through all the chakras and back up. And we can intensify that process through visualization. And that image is provided to us so that we have an understanding of the flow that we want to create and the visualization that we want to hold when we're doing that. Caduceus action through the purified chakras. The 4 petals of the mother are for the anchoring in matter form of the action of the squaring of the fires of the heart, whereby the circle of infinity becomes the cube of God's self-awareness in time and space. And there's the fiery coil. Understand then that by your application to the law that I've released in the first 7 of these studies. Now, what Kuthumi is referring to here is the first second. This is actually in the 4th pillar. This is in the intermediate studies. It's dwell cool who is instructing us here about the first 7 chapters in the book, Intermediate Study of the Aura. Understand then by your application to the law that I've released in the first 7 of these studies, there is being builded within your aura a fiery coil of light. Now, this is crucial to your understanding. By reading those 7 chapters, which means you've gone through the first 3 pillars. You're now in the 4th pillar. By reading those 7 chapters and doing the exercises that are described in those chapters, this coil, this 33 coiled fiery coil of light is being builded in your aura. That is what's happening, not so much from sitting and visualizing the coil of light, but from actually doing the exercises and reading the words of the first 7 chapters. Now, what happens when you read the words? You go back to the teaching I presented on the secret keys, the Vohadic keys that are embedded within the chapter, specifically designed for each person who will read the chapter. The Vohadic keys are unlocking the treasures, the seeds of light that were put there for you individually. And by giving the Pearl call, after reading the chapter, you're going to unlock the full 100% potential of the Vohadic keys that are there for you. And by doing that properly, there is being builded within your aura a fiery coil of life. This coil, which is approximately 10 inches in diameter, you ought now to visualize rising from the base of an imaginary sundial upon which you stand. As you look down at your feet, the coil proceeds from what would be the 12 o'clock line, position in front of your feet. The coil is an electrode that winds in a clockwise direction. The coils being spaced 3 inches apart. From beneath your feet to the top of your head, this coil is a pulsating white fire, and it can be focused as the action of the sacred fire of the Holy Spirit only in the aura of those who have the devotion to the Christ and the commitment to the I am that I am. This is powerful, important instruction that is so easily overlooked by people who glance at color plates and don't really study the notes that accompany them. The next visualization here is called individualization, and what it is showing is how we are all connected to Source at the level of the I am that I am. These are the concentric rings of light that emanate from the chakras and from the secondary heart chamber. We have described the rings of light, which in the Christ ones are continually emanating from the heart chakra. Let us also consider that there is intended to be a continual release of concentric rings of light, not only from the heart, but from all the chakras. This release becomes possible as the individual consciously employs the chakras as distributing centers for the energies of the I am presence that circulate from the heart throughout the 4 lower bodies. And meditation in the pyramid shows again 33 coils. And this is 13 steps of initiation. The Chila meditating in the pyramid is meditating on the 13 steps in the Christ consciousness, the 12 initiations of the disciples on the 12 points of the cosmic clock, and the initiations of the Christ consciousness in the center of the clock. These are illustrated by 13 spirals or levels of attainment, which are achieved through the 7 chakras. The 33 coils of victory. So you see the top pyramid has 13 coils, the bottom one has 33. 33 coils of victory are the 33 cycles in the lower pyramid, denoting initiations on the path of ascension successfully demonstrated by Jesus Christ. Every soul that would be free must accept the challenge to be the fullness of the law of life and the balance of the threefold flame and manifestation in each of the 4 lower bodies. And so you see, when the 12 godly attributes have been magnetized in the heart chakra, they can be squared through the vision of the all-seeing eye of God in the 3rd eye chakra. So when you take 12 squared, you get 144. threefold flame and 12 virtues are balanced in four noble bodies. There is converging of energy spirals in the third eye as the capstone is placed on the pyramid of life in the coming of the Christ consciousness. This picture called Transfiguration shows the threefold flame completely enveloping the individual. This is how it was in ancient Lemuria. Before our threefold flame was reduced, we walked within a 6-foot tall threefold flame. And because of the misuse of that power, the Lord's karma reduced it to a 16th of an inch and placed it in the secret chamber of the heart. That is the PDF book that I created that I'll send it out to everybody who's on the broadcast. And that's the color plates taken from Intermediate Studies of the Aura. And I'm going to also share with you the auric renderings taken from the Science of Rhythm for the Mastery of the Sacred Energies of Life, which was a 2-cassette album that was published back in the 1980s. These are images that Saint Germain drew on a blackboard October 7, 1977 at the Soul Liberation Conference in Pasadena. When the music Come Together by the Beatles was played, this is what it looked like in terms of the sound and energy impact on the listener. This is taken from jazz music that was played by Benny Goodman and Gene Krupa. Now, if I blow this up a bit, you get to see all the little demonic entities in the aura. There's these ones look almost like monkeys, but they got faces. This was got a more like a monkey face. This one more like a cat face. You see some howling demon there. You see some bat-winged creature. The aura is infested with these demonic entities. As soon as you play jazz music, jazz, you will discover when you study this teaching, it's a 2-cassette album. Jazz has its origins in voodoo. And I recently found a video on YouTube where some people who are not students of the Seven Masters give this entire explanation because they've researched it and they've done a tremendous amount of investigation that show the actual links, how jazz originated in voodoo, just like the masters tell us. This one is music called I Got Some Help I Don't Need, performed by B.B. King. And I'm pretty sure that that's also jazz music. And when we blow this up a little bit, you see the crocodile, you see all the little demonic stuff in the aura. And people are walking around like that and they have no idea. And you turn on this music and it just attracts all this stuff into your world. This is music called Silver Apples of the Moon, performed by Morton Subotnick. I don't know if it's jazz or what it is, but it looks like little flying insects there, maybe hornets, maybe worse. Who knows what lives on the astral plane. They've got entities on the astral plane that we don't even know about. Not healthy. This is the song Respect by Aretha Franklin. Again, look at the bottom where you see the saxophone, and here at the keyboard, there is some devilish looking demon. This is just all demonic stuff that you invite into your world when you play this music. This is taken from the Jitterbug Waltz. Doesn't look too healthy. This one, the song Midnight Rambler, performed by the Rolling Stones. Looks like a fallen angel to me. I don't know what you see there, but I see dark wings.
Oh,
This one is actually taken from an actual voodoo ceremony. And you can see what's going on there. This is not of the light. Now, the last one, this is the Blue Danube Waltz by Johann Strauss. And what you see is properly balanced, geometrically perfect energy spirals. And they are rotating clockwise and they are moving upwards. And this is what happens to your aura when you play this music. And so the great divine director brought into embodiment classical musicians back in the 1600s, 1700s, 1800s, specifically with the purpose of providing for us the proper music so that we would know what proper music is, proper rhythm, proper tone, because the divine director also knew that in the 1900s, the sentence was coming due for tens of thousands of fallen ones who had been imprisoned since Atlantis. They were imprisoned on the astral plane and not permitted to come into embodiment. And their sentence was coming to expiration. They're going to be permitted by the Lords of Karma to come into embodiment. And the divine director knew what they would do. They would produce the same kind of satanic rhythm, same kind of music that they produced on Atlantis that was the cause of the sinking of Atlantis. And so before the children of light would get trapped in that music, divine director wanted us to have the understanding what correct music, correct rhythm, correct tone should be. And that's why the classical musicians were brought into embodiment to produce that music for us as the model. And we see the effect on the aura of this one example, the Blue Danube Waltz by Johann Strauss. That's the kind of impact we want on our aura when we're playing music, not the other stuff. So the science of rhythm, the original 2-cassette album contained a little black and white printed booklet that had these images. They're not available anymore. So I digitized them and I've stored them so that anybody can have them later on for further study. And I think that they're absolutely essential to the study of the aura in conjunction with what we just showed in the muddied auras color plates. Now back to the screen sharing. Oh, I can't do that. I can't click PowerPoint through here. So the light that we're talking about has many components. Just like light passing through a prism produces a rainbow, light coming through the chakras has various tones and frequencies. And so what happens is the light is coming down from the I Am Presence. It's coming into the secret chamber of the heart and it's radiating out from the heart into the 7 chakras. And each chakra has a different function, has a different ability. Each chakra will then radiate a particular portion of that light, so that you need all of the chakras combined to contain all of the frequencies of the white light. And what's interesting is that an entire world religion has come forth as an expression of a particular light frequency. So we start with the first ray, and we know Judaism facilitates your God development on the first ray of God's power through the throat chakra. So here's the blue throat chakra. And the expression of that has been the formulation of the religion called Judaism. Buddhism facilitates your soul development on the second ray of God's wisdom through the crown chakra. So here's the light expressing through the crown, and it has become the foundation of the creation of the religion of Buddhism. Christianity facilitates your soul development on the third ray of God's love through the heart chakra. Christianity came from the heart. Love your neighbor as yourself. Hinduism facilitates your soul development on the fourth ray of God's purity through the base spine chakra. And if you study anything about Kundalini and yoga, which is the science that Hinduism comes from, it's all based on the Divine Mother and the fourth ray emanation through the base of the spine chakra. Confucianism facilitates your soul development on the fifth ray of science, healing, and truth through the third eye chakra. Islam facilitates your soul development on the sixth ray of administration and service through the solar plexus chakra. Taoism facilitates your soul development on the seventh ray of God's freedom through the seat of the soul chakra, which is right here. And Zoroastrianism facilitates your soul development on the eighth ray through the secret chamber of the heart. And you don't see that one. It's behind the heart chakra. It's the secret chamber. And that's the eighth ray as the foundation for the religion called Zoroastrianism, which is the religion of the sacred fire. So this one was just, let me see that. Somehow I didn't get that at the top of the screen. Showing the concept of white light containing many components. And then we showed that through the chakras. And then this last one was the misunderstandings about the colors of the chakras. And so we see what is published all over the internet and in books everywhere. It's the color spectrum: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, moving from the base to the crown. And I don't know where that color scheme came from, but I've seen it for about 30 years now. I know in my original study of yoga back in the 1970s, I saw a Sanskrit book that showed the base chakra as red. I didn't see the other colors like this. And I think the red was used more symbolically than anything, because red denotes the red planet Mars, and Mars is actually the ruler of that chakra. So it may have been that there was, as they say in the old teachings, that the teaching had to be veiled by numerous levels of veils that had to be penetrated through very intense study, because the wisdom was not for the profane, and they didn't want it to be readily apparent what the truth was. But this whole color scheme, I've seen this now just since the New Age movement, the last 30 years, and everybody's taken the rainbow and they said your crown chakra is violet, and hogwash, not even close to the truth. This color scheme is what the masters teach. The base chakra, Divine Mother, purity, fourth ray, is blazing white light when it's a purified chakra. We saw from the muddied auras pictures that that's not the case in most people. But when you have cleansed your chakras and purified them, and they will radiate the rays that focus through them, these are the colors that you will see. Yellow at the top, that's the color of the halo that surrounds a saint's head. It's the crown chakra. The second ray of wisdom is expressing through there. So naturally, it's going to be yellow. Third eye is green. Blue is the first ray of God's power, focusing through the throat. Pink in the heart chakra, solar plexus, purple and gold, and the violet flame in the seat of the soul. That basically takes us through the content I wanted to share today in Lux Fiat Continued. And we still have at least 15 minutes for questions.
This is absolutely amazing. I love learning about this. I don't understand how the original colors of the chakras were incorrect.
Well, I don't know who created that color scheme, but it's copied everywhere.
Yeah.
And if you look at it, it's the colors of the rainbow, which is rather arbitrary. Why would the chakras behave the same way that glass behaves? When you have a prism and you focus light through there and you get a rainbow, when you have rain in the sky and the light is focusing through water, those are two different things. But why would the chakras behave like water or like glass?
Yeah.
It's,
Was
it's
it
very
just a,
arbitrary.
yes, I was just wondering if it was just a simplistic decision to have those colors long time ago by other people.
Well, there may have been something in the idea they talk about veiling the teaching so it's not readily apparent. But I don't know where the color scheme came from. And today everybody does copy and paste. And just because one guy says it so, everybody believes it. And every book you look at today is going to show those colors.
Mhm.
According to the masters, that's completely wrong.
Okay. Well,
when
it's
you
great
come-
to know.
When you come to
Sorry.
know the action of the ray, the activity of the ray, as it's expressing through the chakra, it makes perfect sense that that would be the color, the way the masters describe it.
Okay. Yeah. It's great to know the true colors.
Yeah, and they're beautiful.
Yes.
So, Michael, can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay. The book, The Unveiled Mysteries
yes.
from Saint Germain. Is this okay? I have the Human Aura book, which is Dwakul and Kachumi,
Yes.
and I use that. Then the excerpt from the Unveiled Mysteries, you sent it to me, and it was Saint Germain's 3-step meditation, and it is about how our thoughts can become things if we clothe them with our feelings, and it's a wonderful meditation every morning and every night. And you sent it to me about 3 days ago.
Yes.
And I started doing it. It's incredible. It's incredible. Your heart flame. Anyway, does that have to do something with the teaching that is in the Human Auras? Because this Unveiled Mysteries, is that book available in the Summit Lighthouse in their bookstore?
No, it's not published by Summit Lighthouse. It is published by Saint Germain Foundation.
So how do I get it?
Well, you could buy a hard copy from Saint Germain Foundation on their website, or I could send you a PDF copy.
Saint Germain Foundation?
Yes.
But this is the first time I've heard of that.
Okay, so back in 1930, Guy Ballard was hiking at the base of Mount Shasta. And he was just out for a walk. And during his walk, he was contemplating rumors that he had heard about a race of advanced humans that lived in a city called Telos underneath Mount Shasta. And he understood that they were not just highly evolved, but they were from Atlantean and pre-Atlantean times, and that there were beings known as ascended masters who were there. And he was wondering, wouldn't it be nice if you could meet them? And that afternoon, Saint Germain appeared to him.
Wow.
Basically stood there, shook his hand, "Hi, I'm Saint Germain, and we got things to do." And
How cool is that?
took him on an adventure that is told in part in the book Unveiled Mysteries. So part of the adventure of where Saint Germain took him, some of which was on other dimensions, some of which was traveling in their light bodies. Not all of the story is told, but much of it is told in Unveiled Mysteries. And throughout the telling of the story, instruction is given so that anybody who reads the story will also read the teaching and the instruction. The adventure continues in book 2, which is called The Magic Presence, which is even more amazing because they go to the Cave of Light in India and they actually go for a ride on a magic flying carpet in the physical plane.
Wow.
The third book, which is called the I Am Discourses, is a series of 33 lectures given by Saint Germain on the science of the I Am. And those three books are all highly recommended for students of the masters.
And so we get them from this foundation?
The Saint Germain Foundation was created by Guy Ballard, as he was instructed to by Saint Germain. And for quite a number of years, Guy Ballard and later on his wife Edna, who was also trained as a messenger, delivered dictations by more than 100 ascended masters, angels, and cosmic beings. And in the beginning, in the early years, Saint Germain would stand in Guy Ballard's living room and speak. And as he spoke, the words that he spoke would suddenly appear in the air in characters of living fire. So you could read them as well as hear them. And this reminds us of the discourse we heard last Saturday night with the lady in Atlanta who was clairvoyant, and she could see the words of the dictation 3 or 4 words before they were spoken. She saw them in characters of gold. Remember that?
Yes.
Okay. This is how the original dictations came out in the 1930s, with Saint Germain standing in Guy Ballard's living room, and as he spoke, the words would hover in the air as characters of living fire. Now, not everybody could see them. Some people didn't have their third eye open sufficiently because they had not been properly purified to be that clairvoyant. Some people could see it very, very clearly. Other masters who spoke in the room, same phenomenon. Some people could see them, some couldn't. But all these dictations were recorded on audio. I have some of the originals. They're on little green vinyl. I think it's 75 RPM. I don't have equipment to play them, but I've got the original recordings of these dictations. And then there came a point where the Lords of Karma said, we cannot use this method because too much light is being wasted. And so when you get to book 4 in the I Am Discourses, it is explained that the dictations were received on the light and sound ray. And what happened was, you no longer saw the master standing in the room, and you no longer saw the characters in the air in living fire, but you heard, not with the inner hearing, but audible, that you could record on a physical device. You heard the words being spoken as you saw a beam of light projected into the room, and it was called the light and the sound ray. And that technique was used for a number of years, and then eventually messengership, the way we know it, was developed, whereby the physical vehicle of the messenger was utilized by the master, and they would speak through them. And as Mark Prophet was talking last Saturday night, some of the dictations were so powerful, they were described as ex cathedra dictations, like the one we have from Mother Durga. It's one of the very few we have that's described as an ex cathedra dictation, where the master is completely taking over the vehicle of the messenger and speaking through them, operating their vocal cords and doing all the work.
So this Saint Germain Foundation, where is that? How do I order that, the Unveiled Mysteries?
I can send you the website link. They're headquartered in Chicago.
They're in Chicago. Yes, I'd like the website link.
They have a group. Pardon me, you too?
Sorry, it's like saintgermainfoundation.com or something like that?
I think it's .org. Actually,
Okay.
I'll pull it up right now. We'll have a look at it.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I'm going to saintgermainpress.com. I'll do a screen share. So there you can see the website, Saint Germain Press.
Yes.
And there you see in the featured products, Unveiled Mysteries for $17.
Wow.
That was a lot of years ago.
No, this is today's price, but that's American dollars.
Okay.
And then you're going to pay shipping. Usually when they get to Canada, if you can find a bookstore like the Rising Sun that would have this, they try charge around $40. Actually, I've never seen the price this low. It's very interesting. And volume 1, Unveiled Mysteries. Volume 2 is The Magic Presence, and volume 3 is the I Am Discourses. Those 3 books everybody needs to read. There's a tremendous library here. And you can't read everything.
Yeah.
We have to really be discriminating about how we spend our time.
Yeah.
Mother recommended we all read the first 3. So I continue to make that recommendation. And they're just such phenomenal books. When you look at the content published by Summit, we've got over 10,000 hours of dictations and pearls of wisdom to study.
Mhm.
And so what I've done in my 40 plus years, I've been through the material extensively that's offered through Sage Brain Foundation. I've been through the material offered through the Bridge to Freedom, the Agni Yoga Society, Theosophical Organization. And in my library, I have most of that content, either in hard copy or in PDF.
Mhm.
And I use all that material to formulate the lessons that I create. And then I try to steer the students down a path that's going to get the most value out of the time spent. So that, for example, what we've created in higherconsciousness.ca website, the understanding of the 4 pillars, the Pearl Call, the intro videos that I produced, students that work with these presentations will take literally 20 years off their learning curve. They'll save you so much time and get you so much faster to where you need to get to. Because if you just go by curiosity or by what your heart is pulling you, this feels good, it resonates, I want to learn this, you could spend 100 years going through all the content that's available. And you don't have the time. You just don't.
I certainly don't have the time.
Yeah, so thank God I had the time and I did it.
Oh, thank you, Michael.
And it's taken more than 40 years to do it.
Oh,
I find that what shows, I do have my guru and I know who my guru is. And I find what shows up is right for me. And you sending me this because you were sending me the information on the Lord Surya, but suddenly this got in with it. And I think I don't know if you even meant to send it to me, but it suddenly came in. So that's why I'm asking about it today. But I don't want to, there's other people here. And now I know the one that you sent me from the Unveiled Mysteries was in the midst of the Surya information you were sending me. So that was kind of interesting.
You had mentioned a few days ago a dictation by Mahat Chohan that I sent.
By
Mahat Chohan.
Yes. Yes.
And yet I never sent you anything by Mahat Chohan. And I was quite surprised that you made that comment. And what was more interesting was 2 days later, Carol Moxham in a phone conversation said, "Thank you for sending that prayer to Mahat Chohan." And I said, "Carol, I never sent that. What are you talking about?" And apparently an email that I sent 2 years ago suddenly got sent to her.
So I'm thinking what we get, we can trust that what we need comes to us in a way.
Find a way.
Yes.
And I've noticed I have sent emails that don't show up till a year later. And this phenomena is a weird internet anomaly, but I think oftentimes the masters are behind it, that they find a way to get to you what you need.
And that's what I'm trusting now. I'm not trying to read every or whatever. I'm just trusting my experience in the day with the work that I'm doing. And okay, that's great. Thank you, Michael. So you mentioned something about Rising Sun instead of going through the states. Is Rising Sun a Canadian?
It's Rising Sun is a bookstore in Richmond Hill. That's where we had the temple for 12 years. And she has a few titles from the St. Germain Foundation in her inventory, but I don't believe she has Unveiled Mysteries.
Okay, so I have to go through this press place.
That's probably your best They also sell it as a gorgeous PDF, so you could buy the PDF online and just download it. And it's a very well made, it's better than the PDF that I would send you, which is something that was just created 10 years ago by other students. The actual official version that you purchase, and I think it's only about, just a second here. Both St. Germain series, Volume 1, Unveiled Mysteries. The Kindle is $3, the EPUB is $3, the audiobook is $35, the PDF $3, okay? So you
Wow.
go to their website for $3, you download a gorgeous color PDF, and you have it.
Of the St. Germain's Press.
Yes.
Okay, I'll do that. Thank
So
you.
I'll do that. I'll share the screen again, just so you can see what I'm doing.
Okay.
So we're at stgermainpress.com,
Mm-hmm.
and here in the menu, you see home, book, St. Germain series. So if we click on books and we click on St. Germain series,
Right.
then we see Unveiled Mysteries. So we click on that. And now you see the options, PDF download. So you click on PDF download and add it to your shopping cart. Probably want to create an account so you can get it easier next time. And for $3, you've got the book.
Fabulous. Michael, you are God's angel. Oh. Thank you.
You're so welcome.
Thank you so much, Michael. I absolutely loved what you had to say, and it was so educational, informative. But I'm so sorry, I have to go. So I'm actually waving goodbye.
Bye, Karen. Thanks for joining us.
Bye,
Oh,
Karen.
thank you. Bye, honey. Bye. Oh, bye, Joseph. It was nice seeing you too.
See you tonight.
Yeah.
Or
I don't know if I can make it. I'm still in Beaverton, but I'll be thinking of you guys. See you again. Bye-bye for now.
See you next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, Deb.
Bye.
Joseph, any questions?
No, I have no particular questions. I have had the pleasure of reviewing a decent portion of what we talked about today. I have general philosophical questions, probably better suited for me to meditate on directly. It's so confusing to me that like you can meet so many wonderfully kind and blessed people, and they'd be listening to this kind of music, but they'd still be, you know, regular kind people. I suppose we could suspect like a two-faced circumstance. But yeah, it's just amazing to me that so many genres of music are not blessed. And so, yeah, that's confusing to me. But like I said, I should probably meditate on my own and continue to look into that.
There is a tremendous science to sound and how sound is applied through rhythmic techniques. And there are two albums that I highly recommend. One is In Peril, A Commanding Danger, which talks about a nerve poison that is generated within the nervous system through irritability. And irritability in the aura is most profoundly noticed through the impact of sound rhythms. So that album, in combination with the album called The Science of Rhythm for the Mastery of the Sacred Energies of Life, is essential material for students at some point. I've made all that material available. Anytime that you want to access it, just let me know. And it's very disappointing to a lot of people when they discover that music that they were feeling very good about, suddenly they discover it's not only is it not endorsed by the masters, but it's very harmful and destructive. And it's actually a type of addiction that needs to be let go of. And it's just another one of those baby steps that we're not going to give up all of the things that we're accustomed to in one day. We're going to have to just gradually shed the things that don't fit with the vibrational frequency that we're moving into.
I think, Joseph, something that might make you happy is beloved Kahumi says, listen, this is just their aura in this moment from listening to this music. Or this is their aura. Don't think it's their aura totally. Like your aura can change from hour to hour, day to day. So, right, don't think just because someone listens to this music that it's they're letting a way in. They're opening a door for the entities to get in. And the more you do that, the more you're opening your aura. But the point is, for the time they listen, but that doesn't make them that. If that he's very clear about that in the book about saying, even if you can see auras, do not go around trying to say this person is this because that's what they're doing. So, I think the good thing is to just send everyone light and let everyone take their own journey, like hold the Immaculate Concept, and then you never have a problem.
Yes, I feel like I'm well protected in that manner. And
Yeah.
I see the God in everyone. So I appreciate what you said there because I didn't think about that component as well.
Yeah, it's just at that point, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we carry the same aura every day. Is that right, Michael?
Absolutely. And I would add to that with the comment that we find Yogananda giving to his students at the ashram. And a gentleman said to him, if I want to study yoga, do I have to give up alcohol? And Yogananda says, no, you don't. But if you practice yoga diligently, you will lose the desire for alcohol. And he said, do I have to give up smoking cigarettes? And Yogananda says, no, you don't. But through the diligent practice of yoga, you will lose the desire for cigarettes.
Yeah.
So in that context, you don't have to give up rock music or whatever type of music you're accustomed to, but I think you will discover that through working with the light, you will come to lose the desire for that type of improper rhythm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Baby steps.
I remember hearing mothers speak about the equation of light. And so we're doing all of these spiritual practices to bring light into our chakras, and they're spinning. But when we listen to those types of music that have certain rhythms or certain levels of vibration, it actually causes the chakras to trip and hesitate in their spinning, and the light actually spills out. So the reason that certain types of music still feel good, even though they're causing a net loss of light, is that we're feeling that light again as it spills out of us. So we feel the light as we absorb it. We also feel the light spilling out. So it's easy to mistake that for a good experience when it's actually a net loss.
Well said.
Very interesting as well.
I think
Thank
we're good for today.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. Lots to think about.
A lot to think about. We can do another class next week.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael.
You're very welcome. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
See you tonight.
Okay.
Have a blessed
Always
afternoon.
Victor.
Always, Victor.